That's like I was talking to Power Stuff about it the other day. Like he asked me like what he should be doing. I'm like, dude, he's like putting free agent tweets out, but he's like a Diamond 6 player, and I think he's gotten Onyx like once, and he can't make or Arlington. So I was like, dude, I was like, there's no point in you putting free agent tweets out. I was like, most kids are playing to play in Arlington. So this is your time. You're a D6 player. There's a lot. I've played against him, and I've 1v1 against him a lot because he asked me to play him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, there's so many things that you could do to fix your gameplay on a personal level before you even worry about trying to scrim with other players. There's so many things you could fix and so many things you could work on to make your game that much better. Because like when I was D6 when the game first came out, I wasn't D6 for long. I went Onyx pretty quick. But even when I got like Onyx within the first like 2 weeks, I still didn't allow myself to start looking for a team until I understood the game at a different level, like at least a little bit better. So I didn't come in not knowing shit. Like I came in understanding like a good basis around it. I'll just say that my broadcast is ended. Can we not? Are you lying to me?
It's still up for me.
Yeah, it's still up for me now.
Yeah, that's always the best thing to do to get better. It's just hyper focus something, and just try not to let things distract you from that one thing. It's like most people when they scrim, they're scrimming the scrim, right?
Yeah, they're not
Most
focusing.
people if I could read their minds and like read their thoughts throughout the scrim, it's probably like all over the place, or it's like about everything rather than like just trying to focus
On certain things.
like you were saying, you still need to play the game and like not be completely trashed because you're like not doing. You still need to be doing what you need to do, so you're not a handicap, but you have to be focused. Like if like for example, there was a time where we were working on when we spawn, we call out where we spawn, so everybody knows where your teammates are spawning. And when we were working on that, um, you have to put all your focus. Like anytime that you die, your next thought. I mean, of course, you still could probably contribute you can still contribute to the team while you're dead, like death cam callouts, whatever. But at least with the thoughts that need to be going through your head while you're off spawn is, oh, I'm about to respawn. I need to make sure that I say where I spawn. Like those are the thoughts, and that thought needs to be happening every single time that you're off. Like you die. Like it needs to be like a light bulb lighting up in your head every single time.
Absolutely.
And that's just an example of like any other specific thing. Like you really got to put a lot of your focus and your thoughts on that one thing, because the second you kind of get in autopilot mode, you're not going to get better. The only thing that might get better is your shot, because and that just happens just because when you play for multiple hours, I mean, your shot progressively gets better, but that's it. Probably all that would happen.
It's very easy to get in like autopilot mode and like
It is very easy.
Just to start focusing on like what's going on in the game instead of focusing on what you need to work on. It's like
you're focused on like winning or trying not to play bad, or a numerous amount of things like that.
And I know because you watch me a lot. Like I know you hear me say it a lot, which like I'm reassuring, like refocusing my team on what we're working on. Like I don't give a fuck if we're losing. I don't care. I like yesterday. You can go back and watch the VOD. I'm like, I don't care that we're losing. I want to make sure we're improving. That's what we're working on. Like we're playing you guys because you guys are better than us. Like so we need to make sure we're improving in the game and working on the things that we're weak at. And right now I feel like our comms are too chaotic, and that's what I was trying to focus on yesterday was comms. Like they just could be so much better. Like it could be a lot easier.
Do you think? I mean, of course, chaotic can mean like multiple things.
I think it's too
are they
loud.
too loud sometimes?
Yeah, like too loud and not. How do I say this? Too loud and unnecessary.
So certain callouts that don't necessarily need to be stressed or being like stressed. Like there's a lot of I don't know what word to use for it, but they're just being stressed. I'll just say that.
That's when they don't have to be.
Right. So that can not only mess up comms, because that could make it to where
somebody plays differently.
That comm can override a comm that maybe is more important but isn't as loud, just because everybody has speaks differently, and some people are louder than others, right? So that can happen if you have like a loud person on the team and a quiet person, and the quiet person says something important, but the loud person says something that's not important, but they say it much louder, and then it could be overridden. People don't hear it, and then things can go wrong.
I'm kind of
That could be a
glad you
possibility.
said that because I try to explain, like, we're always talking about, and Sean's talking about it too, like promo, we're talking about like why we need to fix our comms. But that's a good way to explain it because the way we calm sometimes, we're calming like it's important when it's not an important call. Like it's nobody's there to react to that, and it shouldn't be forced. Like the way Trippy right now, just the way he was calling that out, like there's weapons and they're weak there. Like that's kind of like an emphasis calm that like Lucid needs to react to.
Right.
But I'm like I'm not upset at my team at all because we're really improving over time. Hell, we get compliments all the time, but I don't care. Like yesterday, I think I'm more mad about the servers acting up yesterday because I want you guys to be at your best so that we can play you at your best, and then we can see what's going wrong. Like what can we better at? I don't care that we took 4 games off of you guys. Because if it's like if we're still making mistakes that we can fix, that's what I care about, making sure we're honing in on.
And even games that you do win, you're still gonna be making mistakes in those games, right? So,
Like we played Tigger and Co. The day before,
right.
and
Yeah, I remember.
we like I'd say we tore them up pretty good. Besides the CTFs, right? And as we win the CTFs, even though we're mid scrim, I'm like, hey, we've got to work on our CTF. Like, it shouldn't be this week against like this team. Like, I don't want to take anything away from Eric and Port and all them, but I feel like our teamwork and the way we play is just better than them. I think we're at a higher level than they are. So we shouldn't be losing the CTS, or we didn't lose the CTS. It shouldn't be as close as it is.
Right.
We should be making sure we're keeping it solidified and make sure we're playing the correct way.
Yeah, because if you play that exact same way against a different team, whether that be us or even somebody better,
We'll lose.
you could lose 5-0. Like it could be like a drastic difference. Just by like just because what the team you're playing could be doing something even more wrong than you are. And that's stuff that you got to pay attention to. Like just because you win a map doesn't mean you got to like write it off in a way.
Yeah.
Really, you got to analyze wins as much as you analyze losses.
Really?
And most people, I mean, it's natural to kind of write off wins, but a lot of players do that, and you really can't.
I appreciate my mindset recently because like I've gotten to the point where losing gives me a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm excited for it because that means there's something else we can look at in the VOD. So like it used to be I wasn't afraid to play teams that were better than us. I was just afraid of what my mind would think if we lost to them. But now like I've thrown that shit out and like that shit doesn't even matter to me.
Also how it may affect your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you have teammates that may have a weaker mental, you don't want to maybe get stomped like 13-0 by a team,
yeah.
And
then they might quit and go to another team or something like that.
Right.
But that's why like I feel like naturally because most of these like shots only 17 and then promos Sean's only 18 and then me and Nuke's like 2 years younger than me, so I've naturally been like I'd say like a veteran mindset, not just because like I'm just older, like it's just an older mindset. And like I'm trying to like teach them the shit that I learned the hard way, which is like losing's not a bad thing. It's opportunities for us to improve, and like I think I've done a really a good job, and you could attest to that or not. Like I've done a really good job at keeping everybody's mental on a level playing field. Like don't get me wrong, like I hate losing more than anybody, but
you just gotta learn to live with it.
Yeah,
it's just really what it is. You gotta understand that it will happen.
And I feel like that's a different insight that you bring to the table because like you experience that in pro Gears, so you've been in those situations. So like it's you have a veteran mindset to it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I've already lived it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at my 16-year-old self when I first started competing, and now, I mean, I'm a completely different person on how I speak to people, how I receive information, how my mindset on things, how I deal with wins, loses, things going right, things going wrong. Like it really, when you've done it for a few years, it really matures you. Even at amateur levels that way, and of course once I went pro, then it was like even just a little bit more than that.
I think it matures us a lot faster than what like normal people go through. Because like I know there's kids my age that still like drama related and are not like
Oh,
mature.
100%.
But when
I
you're
would not be the same person if I didn't play games.
compete, yeah.
No.
I think competing brings a lot more aspects to the table, like that people realize, if that makes sense.
It's made me a much better person.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, I don't mind shit talking. Losing full. I don't mind like shit talking and stuff like that. But like when I lost on LAN in a series that I felt like I didn't need to lose, it kind of taught me like, okay, you know what it's like to lose, right? So like, there's times to shit talk and there's times not to, and like you get an understanding of like what that player feels and what's going on. So like when I played Rhett and them when we were the underdogs, like I just got loud, but I didn't shit talk because I'm usually not gonna not gonna shit talk unless like something's said to me before, if that makes sense. Like if you shoot bodies, maybe it's a little differently, but I know what it's like to lose, man. I know what it's like to be like at the bottom, to not know anything or not understand why you're losing, and I think it changes the aspect of the way you conduct yourself after that. Like kind of like how you say you don't really tweet nobody because it's like a waste of time in my opinion. That's why like
Yeah, it doesn't do any
doesn't do
good. I mean,
anything.
it might make you feel good about yourself maybe because it's
That's like
but that's only temporary. Maybe in the moment it might feel good to like maybe either talk trash or like say something to somebody. You might feel cool in the moment, but you look back at it, it's like, wow, I was an idiot.
I think for me it's just like a risk versus reward type thing. Like Piles earlier, he made like a comment, and I feel like he was doing it because he doesn't like me. That guy doesn't like me. Or like let's use this as a better example. After we lost to Ghosty and them, and we shouldn't have lost to them, like we were the better team. We lost to Ghosty and them in the tournament, and right after the tournament ended in like game chat, Ghosty, I think it was Ghosty, but it could have been one of the other players. But they were like, "You fat fuck!" Like they said that right after. But like I sat there and think about it, I'm like, it doesn't bother me. I think somebody else heard it and was asking me about it. I was like, it just doesn't bother me because I'm used to that. Like, if you have to say something to me to try to trigger me, I know I've already won. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't bother me. And then like if I see tweets and stuff, if it doesn't absolutely increase my performance or it doesn't increase my life or make my life any better, I just don't give a fuck. Like Ghosty starting shit with me on Twitter. I just okay. He's like, you're just weird. I'm like, okay. I just don't care. Like it doesn't directly affect me, so it doesn't bother me. It took me a while to get that mental though. Like it used to get shit like that used to get to me. Like all the time.
Yeah, I mean it definitely when I was younger, yeah. Same here.
Like
I hated when people said stuff.
like I've been fat. I've been fat all my life except for when I joined the army. I lost 100 pounds and I joined the army, and I looked great. And then I got out, my injury, like I gained a lot of weight. I'm in the process now of losing weight again and looking even better than I've done before. But like I took a picture with Pyro stuff and my damn titties are poking out. I mean, just tell it what it is. And Piles was like, "Damn, ThyyGhost has got some nice titties," you know. But like, I just don't let that shit just doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like it doesn't bother me anymore because I know who I am as a person and like what I bring to the table. Like if you, this sounds egotistical, but like if you have the opportunity for me to be in your life, I'm the fucking shit. Like if I'm in your life, it's a good thing. And I feel like everybody should take advantage of me being in somebody's life.
Right.
So I feel like I bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, because if you're a good person, you're not gonna do nobody wrong, and you're always gonna try to do right by that person. Then you always need people like that.
Yeah. I just know what I bring to the table. Like I'm very level-headed and I care about my friends. Like I fuck with Pal all the time, but I care about him and like I want him to succeed. I want him to eat. Like me and you become a little bit closer over Charlotte, and then after Charlotte, like I care about you and I care about you eating, and I want to make sure you eat. So like it doesn't bother me and it doesn't scare me to be like us going over film together, because even if I'm helping you or you're helping me, like I want to play you at your best and I want you to play me at my best. Like that's what I care about more.
That's how it was like on Gears, bro. I would be in VODs with amateurs or like even when I was back in the amateur league, like I could easily just like tried to keep my own advantage that I had over players and not try to teach anybody anything. Of course, I would teach my teammates what I could, but
Yeah.
just or anybody that come in stream, like I'll sit there and talk for hours with people and try to get them better, even if I'm playing against them. Because like you said, I want to play people at their best, at their best potential, at my best potential, and if I end up losing, that's my own fault. Some people may say, well, you taught them, so that's why they beat you. But it's like, okay, I gotta be better then.
If you taught them, then you should know the countermeasures and the reactions.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like
that's also another thing.
I guess my way to put it is like, when I was getting better and like I was playing the game at like a lower tier level, like I'm still not where I want to be now. Like the top 32 really pissed me off, but I remember when top 32 was the goal. You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't really have anybody to like 1v1. I didn't really have anybody to like really go over things with me. I had to learn it the hard way. So, and I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not gonna say any names, but I have a lot of like, I say lower tier amateurs, and I call them just for fun kids. Like they hit me up about 1v1ing and shit, and like asking me questions. I will literally take the time out of my day every time, because I never had that when I was like last year when I was coming up. Nobody was there to tell me what I was doing wrong. I either had to pay for it or like learn it the hard way.
That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, I didn't have that, and I knew how much of a struggle it was or how much longer it took. So if I can make it 3 times faster for this person to get to a certain level by me just saying, even if it's just 10 words, I'm gonna do it.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm supposed to meet with a guy this weekend.
I could talk for hours with one person, even if it's somebody I just met for like one time. Like I'll sit there and talk with you for 3 hours. I don't care. I'll tell you everything.
It's like I guess I think it's weird because a lot of like top semi-pro players and amateur players like to gatekeep, and I get it. I understand. Like they want to gatekeep, but to me, like, if you got what it takes and I can teach you the correct way to play, like like I said, play me at your best and I'll play you. And if I lose, I lose. And then it gives me an opportunity to look at what I did wrong and what I did right.
And then make a comeback.
Yeah.
Come back even stronger.
That's like, I was saying it the other day, but I never played Halo 4. Ever. I played it on MCC. I played it for like maybe a total of 4 hours. But Sarx, when he was my teammate, I'm better than Sarx in Infinite. Like I read faster. My BR is faster. Like everything's better. I love him to death. I'm just better than he is at the natural state of time that we're in. And he's playing me in Halo 4, and he played that game religiously. Like he put almost the same amount of hours I have in Infinite, like almost 2,300 hours. So we did like 1v1s, and he beat me like, I think he beat me 4 or 5 times in a row. And he was like, all right, you ain't done yet? I'm like, no, bro. I say, I don't think you understand who I am. Like, I will keep playing you until I learn how you play and how to be better than you.
Even though this game doesn't matter.
Even though this game doesn't matter.
I'm gonna figure this out.
I'm gonna figure it out because I have that competitive like edge where I want to learn.
It's just a straight up drive.
Yeah. And so
it doesn't matter if it's a game that you don't play or a game you play for the first time or a game that doesn't have any.
It doesn't matter.
It's just
that's why like I think, you know, Shroud said this before. He said, like, what did people want to know him as? Like, if you talk about Shroud, what did you want to say, like, you knew about Shroud? Was that people
good at everything.
Good at everything? That's what he wanted. But, like, people would always look at his aim, but he was adaptable to every game. That's kind of how I am. Like, I can adapt. Like, you see me, like, me and you, like, we go... I think if you play pro or you play top amateur in a game and you're about to break into semi-pro, you can be able to pretty much switch to any game you want, depending on like where you start out. Like if you start out with COD, it's kind of hard to switch to Halo, but if you're in Halo, it's kind of easy to switch to COD, if that makes sense. So like when Defiant comes out, like I don't have any issue learning that game within a couple of weeks, and then, you know, learning the harder stuff later. But I'll be better than most average people.
Well, yeah, because a lot of the foundation is pretty much the same for almost every game in the like aspect of like the concepts that you have like ingrained into yourself as a player.
One-shot cuts, one-shot trash.
That's what I was...
How to get better. So you can apply those to like any game you play, and that will give you an edge and allow you to pick up games quicker, even if the games are completely different. Third person, first person. There's just qualities that you learn over time that you have as a player that you can apply to learning any game.
Absolutely.
No matter how different it is, like different genres or anything. And that can give you an edge over just one person that has only played one or doesn't have as much competitive experience.
At least not master the fundamentals of it. Right. Like with this sponsorship that I got, like they want me to coach kids. And one of the questions he asked me, he didn't ask me like, am I going to be able to coach kids with different games? He asked me, he's like, so how does it correlate with different games? I said, well, the first thing that people don't understand is that if you're going to go pro in any game, there's still the fundamentals of what solidifies that foundation before you learn the rest of the game. Like learning how to communicate correctly, learning how to like understand like your mechanical abilities, like learning how to control your mental and how you react to certain situations. Like those are all fundamentals of every competitive esport.
How you talk to your teammates, how you receive receive them talking to you, whether it's criticism or just any kind of conversation. Like that takes you further
than most players that are starting out that don't understand that concept.
Even if they're more cracked than you are at the game, or they have more hours and are just better. But if you have those other things that they may not, you'll have the advantage.
Absolutely. That's where like I told them it doesn't scare me to teach kids about other games because my drive and my ability, like I will take the time to learn the advancements, but I can teach them the basics that they need to understand.
The universal things that apply to everything, yeah.
So that's why I'm excited about getting to coach some kids and like trying to. My goal is to get parents to get a better eye of like what esports is and what they can watch. So like the more light we bring to Halo, the more light we bring to these other esports, the better it is for us in the long run. Because like I love doing like the stuff that I do when I did in the army, like building maps and shit. But I love esports way more. So if I can make a direct impact to esports, I'd rather do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can smoke at ball.
So I'm excited to teach kids like the fundamentals, and like I know I would pay like an ungodly amount of money to have someone that's in my shoes now that could teach me the fundamentals at 17. Because like I couldn't find a game
early.
Yeah, early. Like I'm 24, and like I talked to Sir Birds about this. He's like, you got a couple of years, bro. Like you gotta make it happen these couple of years. He's like, and it could be just a mental thing because if you watch like the process. APG talks about his hands. He said his hands are fine at 28, or I think he's 28 or 27. He's like, my hands are fine. It's all mental. So Birds told me, he's like, you got a couple of years, man. I'm gonna try to make it work because it's all about what you believe, and I believe that like I can make it to that level because I will do the things that other people won't do. Like it's easier once I realized that most of these amateur players are not going to do the things that need to be done. I realized how easy it is. It's just going to take time.
Mm-hmm.
Even the kids that out talent me, like
yeah, it's because the average player isn't doing
the things they should do.
The small side things that need to be done just aren't like, I guess, talked about as much or aren't like in the light as much from whether it's pro players or just over time. It's almost like a secret almost. So like it's not like naturally embedded into the average player. I guess you could word it that way.
I use this for example all the time, right? So like I'm naturally talented to the point where I can switch games pretty easily. Like I was really decent at COD. I was really decent at like Valorant when I play, and like when I switched over. I remember last year, like you remember Zev JP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that kid used to out BR me every fight, like out BR me every fight. When I say that, like he was just a better shooter, and what he used to say to me, I was like, what do you work on to work on your aim? Because I'm always looking at like what should I do to improve myself. He's like, his response to me, and I still got it on screenshots, is he said, I just let the controller aim for me. And I was like, what? I was like, you don't work on your aim. He's like, no. I'm like,
is that a joke?
I was like, is that a joke? Like, you don't work on your aim?
I would say.
Yeah. So he said, no, I don't work on, why do I need to work on my aim? Like the game aims for you. Well, while he wasn't working on his aim the next couple months, what was I doing? I was honing in on my aim, and a couple months later we rematched and I tore his ass up, like tore him up. And then all of a sudden now he's like, oh man, you're a good player, blah blah blah. But he doesn't remember, like when he made that excuse that the controller aims for him, he wasn't working on aim, but I was. So I realized like, oh okay, just give me a couple weeks to a month, I'll be better than you because you're not willing to do it. And like now the people like say to me like, oh, your BR is pretty good, all I think about in my head, the way I'm wired, is I'm not good enough. My aim's not good enough. My movement's not good enough. And I think that's the reason I'm always working on everything, and why I will do the things that people won't do is because I'm never satisfied
Here, purple.
what I want to do.
Yeah, you have to have a perfectionist mentality.
Absolutely. And now he doesn't play anymore. So like I guess you could, because like they made a change to the BRs, and then also like he retired shortly after that. But like I say retired, he just quit shortly after that. But like it's a mental thing. I think that you should be trying to improve every aspect of your game at every point that you get.
Yep.
Because if you're not, you're making a fool of yourself. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to believe that Lucid is just so talented that he doesn't work on the fundamentals. Like I think that he works on the shit that he should work on. And then there's certain players like me that I'm gonna have to work harder, and I'm comfortable with that because hard work doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what reassures me, if anything, over time. I mean, but like deep in my head, like regardless of what his placings are, regardless of where he's at now, I know I'll beat him in the long run, so it doesn't affect me because I'm willing to do the things he's not willing to do. I think that's why I'm like blessed, because like I've been put in shit situations, so I understand what it feels like to have nothing and to not have anything to build off of.
Yo, bottom mid, and P2, bottom mid and P2.
Yep. It's hard work.
Front base, front base, front base.
Just gotta work harder than everybody else.
Then on camo. He's there front base.
I love it though.
Bottom mid.
I think I love the. I've been trying to get to this point for a long time, but I love the process of trying to get better more than I think I would if I.
You have to get in love with the process. Just it's like mandatory to freaking reach where you want to reach.
Like I've been wanting to do shit like, because I think you've kind of figured it out, but I love talking about this shit. So like I've been wanting to do like content stuff for a while, and it's even better when I start drinking a little bit too, because my words flow out more than it would normally.
Oh my god.
But I already talk fucking enough as it is.
2P2.
But I just love talking about it because
Top mid, one shot.
it's so hard for like normal people to understand how difficult it is to really do this. I promise you, if people understood how hard it is to actually do this shit, there would be a lot more respect and a lot more money involved. A lot more money involved.
100%.
The mental game, the mental capacity it takes to just stay level-headed, stay cool. That's like, I love Maddie to death. I don't think he's in here right now, but I love Maddie to death. But like that change that you guys made, I think was fundamental. Like I think it had to be done because you guys gave him an opportunity, and I love listen, I don't want anybody to take this wrong way in stream. I love Maddie Mathias to death. Love the kid. He's a great kid. Love hanging out with him. But his mental has always been something that's on his weak side. And you guys gave him an opportunity for him to improve that, and instead he took it like an ego way. And it makes me mad because I want to see him succeed, and you guys gave him a golden parachute. I mean, you guys gave him a golden opportunity. Because how many times would you like to be on a team to realize what your mistake is and that you're able to fix it? But then like your team gives you that opportunity to fix it before they just get rid of you. And I still like.
And another thing, like if you ever do get dropped for a reason that is valid, like and you know, it's usually because of a certain player's weakness, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes to fix that weakness, sometimes you gotta get dropped. Right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes
absolutely.
you need a reality check, and you know, getting dropped does suck. Knowing that firsthand.
Yeah, it sucks.
Even off of a pro team, like getting dropped does suck, but it's kind of like losing scrims. Like it sucks, but you gotta look at the bright side.
Yeah.
And you gotta look at, because you won't get better if you don't look at the bright side. If you only look at the negatives of things, whether if it's something that's big or small, you gotta look at the bright side, or you're just not gonna be better from it. Even if it sucks in the moment, like maybe down the road it could be better.
That's why I wish that, because Maddie, you know, me and Maddie's close enough that Maddie like talked to me about it on a personal level. I wish I could tell Maddie what he needs to hear, but he won't. He's not gonna listen to me. Like I've learned at this point, he won't listen to me. So I couldn't tell him the way. I'm not gonna tell the way he responded because it's our business. The way he responded to it, everybody knows kind of how he responded to it, but like what he said to me personally is kind of personal. But I kind of shook my head a little bit because I wanted to tell him what he needed to hear, but he's not gonna listen to me because I know at this point, like, if you don't listen to your teammates and some of your, I would consider your best friends, you're probably not gonna listen to someone else that you're also close with. I just hope that in the long run he's able to fix that part because I don't doubt any bit that Matty be a pro player if he fixed that. Like, and I got to experience it firsthand, be on the same team with him as well. Like, even though the 2 sets of scrims that we played with Ali and them, like, I could see it too. Ali is able to deal with it a little bit better. Ali's like picking him up during scrims and stuff, but I definitely feel like I hope that he's able to fix that as he gets like moving into his career. And I love the kid to death, man. I want the best for him. I really do.
Use our front base with camo. Our shrooms, our shroom corner, our shroom corner, our shroom corner. It's going to jump up.
Yep.
We still our car glass, our low gen door.
I knew it was coming though.
Camo is on you guys. Camo's on you guys.
Like when Pal talked to me about it, I already knew it was in the works. Like I understood what was happening.
Only one guy. He's their gen. I can fight that guy.
What's the map count now? Is OpTic lost one?
They're closet. They're closet.
8-1.
Closet L3.
Okay.
Well, I have shields. He's have shields. Tapping's around you somewhere. He's probably bottom mid. No, he went back to their gen.
What is it you feel like that amateur players are missing when it comes to moving to that next level? When I say amateur players, I don't mean like lower tier. I mean like, what do you think like you guys are missing, and what do you think like maybe we're missing, or like the top 16, top 24 bunch?
Yeah, shoot that guy. He's P2.
Of course, it is tough to say.
Is it like fundamentals you think, or is it like I try to make sure I don't tell myself that those players are just that much different that I can't achieve it. I try to rationalize it to they just know more things that I can learn, which I do believe that. I think that
yeah, a lot of it's like they've already lived. They've lived and experienced things that you haven't yet, or you're just now at the beginner stage of experiencing it, but they have like 1,000 more reps of what you are just now doing. So they're like they're like mastered it. Like they've been in a situation 1,000 more times than you have, or they've talked about a certain concept 1,000 times more than you have. So, and some people, you know, of course everybody learns differently. Some people will learn it, you know, twice as fast as some others. Some need a lot more time to learn certain things, but on average, it's just some of these players they've just lived it more, and that's like the edge, even if they're like not as like individually talented. But it just seems like sometimes, or even like when you're playing pros, and I was like this.
The plays they make, right? Like
an amateur, like sometimes you feel like these guys aren't human. You think they're playing perfect. You think, you know, they hit every shot. You think they make every right decision, but in reality, it's like they don't. It just kind of seems that way just because of the small things that they're doing.
Right.
Or and part of that could just be like composure in certain moments. It could be some of those qualities that we talked about, like strong mental, just having like good composure in like hectic situations because they've lived in those pressure situations 1,000 times, so they've just learned to be icy. And then, you know, just some other things, like some of those other like universal like fundamental qualities that you need to have as a player. They just mastered it all, and most amateurs don't have all that mastered, or even
try to master,
or even think about it. Like I said, for the average player, it's not even really like that concerning for them to learn, unless like they have somebody like as a teammate
it's gonna force them
bringing it up, like, hey, these are things we need to think about. But like, if you don't have that, it could take you years to figure it out by yourself.
But that's where like I feel like I help our team is like
separates people.
I feel like, and I hate making this comparison. That's fucking hilarious. I hate making the comparison because like it's such a not harsh term. It's such a big term to use, but like I think about like Kobe Bryant, like his mindset and that where he's thinking about like, all right, these kids are better than me now, but like give me a couple of years or give me like a couple of months, and as long as I focus on the things they're not focusing on, I can be better than them. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Like the top 12 cats and the top 16 cats, like give me more time to work on myself, and I know I can be there because I know some of these kids think that it's just gonna happen. Like you just gotta get more reps in. Like don't get me wrong, some kids are gonna be able to put a lot of reps in and just naturally learn to be at that level. But I think you should be. A lot of kids should be focusing on like everything that you can focus on to be a better player. And I know like that's why I'm confident where like I know where I can be. And give me a year and a half, like maybe in the even next year. Like give me the time to work on myself, and I'm confident where I could be. I'm never satisfied with what I want to do.
Yep.
But I naturally built that over time. I've never. How do I say this? Like my dad used to say I was never competitive when I was younger, but the truth is like I had his competitiveness. It just wasn't in the same things that he was competitive in. It's like I didn't care about what people thought of me like weight wise. I didn't care about what people thought of me as like if I was strong or not strong. Like but when I started gaming, I was like, oh shit, like this is it. Like it's different. Now it's different. Like now I'm competitive as fuck. So I take pride in like knowing I work on certain things more than other players. Like it gets me excited when I see I'm on when nobody else is on and shit like that. Like,
Yep.
Or like when Zev tells me, "Oh, my controller aims for me." That shit, boy. I smiled so hard. I was like, "Oh, okay." So it's like that. Yeah, you don't know how wrong you are. Or like, I don't know about you guys. I think the reason that, not the reason we get along, but the reason that I feel like we give you guys a decent challenge in scrim, like enough to where you guys feel a reason that you would need to scrim us. Like, don't get me wrong, I think there's better teams that you guys could play, but I don't think we're so bad that it. How do I say this? We're so bad that you guys shouldn't scrim us. That makes sense. So, fuck, I lost my fucking train of thought. Holy shit. Damn, it's gone. It's that motherfucker that flew over. I don't even remember what the fuck I was saying. Can I repeat what I was saying? What was I saying? Practice. Thought.
The reason
Damn,
the reason you think you're like give us a hard time in scrims.
But there was like an underlying meaning that I was going for. It was like, oh, okay. I got it. Okay, so like, how it's not hard for you guys to go over film, is it?
No.
Like, you guys want to watch film and you guys want to go over your gameplay, right? And you guys want to get an understanding of your setup, right? But can you tell me, like, before you found this team, how hard it was to get 4 players that wanted to watch film and wanted to get better in practice? Because I know how
it's one of the hardest things to do.
It's the hardest. Like when dude, it was so hard to get everyone on the same level with my team. Just to get everybody on time and just to get everybody like on the same level of wanting to get better, it's fucking hard. I think the next couple of teams is going to be like, I think if we keep doing what we're supposed to do and we keep practicing the way we're supposed to practice, I think my team, your team, and like Wiley and them are going to be some real. I think we're going to be some real contenders because we're forcing ourselves to stick together, and we're forcing ourselves to learn. I think we're going to be making a lot of noise, in my opinion. Like you guys already got top 16. Like as much as I love to see y'all eat, it makes me a little jelly too. Don't worry, I'm gonna use that shit. I'm excited to play you guys every day. That's why, like yesterday, like I want to make sure we're playing your guys' best, even though like this game forces you in stupid bullshit situations. Like I want to make sure we're getting better, and that's what I try to make my team. Like these kids are kind of young. I want to make sure I like instill discipline in them, and I didn't have nobody to fucking help me out when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yo, training with a shot,
Dude, I was watching freaking beginning of Gears 4. I was watching mental montages in slow motion over and over to get better.
Yeah.
I didn't have no hope. Look at mental now. I mean, he won 20-something championships. Now he's a Halo pro, getting top 6. Like, that was the guy I was studying. That's all I had. Watching his freaking montages on YouTube, figuring out why does he press this button at this time, go this way, do that.
Still one-shot pillars.
And it's kind of like this game. I mean, it's like he was the best player, and then it's like if you're like if I was doing it again and I was like 16, 17 again, but you know Halo Infinite was my game I was starting, I would probably be watching Lucid, watching his clips in slow motion, like it's. Because that's, I mean, if you got nobody to teach you things, you just gotta look at the best and just try to figure it out yourself. And I mean, it took a lot of time to do that, but
Don't have any aids for that.
Figure out like what they're doing and what.
you know,
I
of course, you got somebody telling you why, or like you know, giving you words of like why this person's doing that, rather than trying to like
do something
figure it out
else.
yourself. Trying to predict what he's thinking in his mind, rather than having somebody that could tell you like this is probably what Luce is thinking, and this is why he's doing it.
They're gonna rush it.
And that speeds up the process so much.
Absolutely. I was like explaining it to my sponsor because like my sponsor, shout out to Tommy Harris, like he wants to learn the game so that he has a better understanding of how he can support me as a player. And one of the things I was going over was like some of the things, I'm not going to call out my teammate, but like some of the things that I want like some of us to work on individually is as pros all play in a similar manner, but just different variations. But like I try to explain it to him like this, like when we open a door as a human, we all open the door a pretty similar way, right? Well, pros do certain things a similar way because that's the best functional way for it to work.
Right.
And I feel like certain teammates on my team over time were still lacking what I call the fundamentals of what we should be doing and what would make it easier on us. And I was trying to explain to him what I meant by fundamentals is like Lucid's going to do certain things, like all 4 of these players on OpTic are doing things the way a pro would do it, and then there's variations to their gameplay. And I feel like what amateurs are missing is make sure we have the fundamentals down of those certain things, and then we can try to change variations. It's very difficult to learn though, because unless you're like in team scrims all the time, like OpTic, I thank them every day for them doing like videos like this so we can watch and see what they do. But just the way a player moves, you can get a better understanding of what your gameplay is and versus what theirs are and why they're better than you.
One guy going dummies, I think.
Like the stuff that Lucid does, I don't even think, like sometimes I don't even think about like, oh, I could have done that. I didn't think about that.
Right.
Or like understanding like when you still have the advantage in certain fights.
Dude, one shot bottom tower.
This is gonna be like a scrim watch thing, but it ended up us being talking about like some real shit. I appreciate it though. I think it's just good stuff to watch and good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, one thing I've learned, like I've said before, I mean I've talked to so many different teammates and other players, or even just like random like ranked people that ask questions in stream. Like I said, I love talking about stuff like this, and I've done it so much. And of course, not only does it benefit the people I'm talking to, but I feel like it's almost begun to benefit me in a way, talking about it so much, because in multiple aspects, and one of them being like, I learned to, like, each time I say something, it's different each time. Like it's almost like I learned something as I'm teaching. Even though I'm saying information that I know, like the knowledge that I know, like the more I talk about it, I'm actually like learning things, because it gets your brain thinking.
Yeah.
And so when your brain's thinking, even if it's about stuff that, like I said, knowledge you already know, you can still learn things the more you talk about it. So it almost like helps you to help other people.
Yeah.
Even if, and like kind of like how we go back to what we were saying before, like helping out your competition. And you know why we believe that, you know, it's not wrong to do that, but like I said, it can make you almost better, because it can get you to think and maybe think of something you didn't before, or even if you're talking with somebody that's below you, they may say something or share a perspective on something
Or like a
that
question.
you didn't think of before.
Yeah.
Like I've learned from amateur players that like aren't that good.
Yeah.
Like I've learned a concept. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that, or oh, I could apply that, or I'm like, oh, that's a good way to think about that. And it's a guy that's like doesn't have very much experience, but it's just naturally as humans, like we all kind of think of things differently and have different perspective on things. And so like just talking to a lot of different people, and as many people that you can, no matter what kind of caliber player they are, I feel like you can always learn something. And that also is what kind of motivates me to talk with so many different people, or try to teach as many people as possible, because I can also learn something from them.
Right.
And that's another beneficial thing that I've learned over the years.
That's like like there's certain amateurs that have asked me questions that I didn't even think about naturally. Like, even though like I may be better than them skill wise, I may be better than mental, like everything. You could literally lay down the fundamentals that I'm better than. But like, if they ask the right question that gets your mind tinking a little bit, and you realize like, oh shit, like that's something I could apply to my own gameplay. That's where like there's this kid called Phil Normus, really good kid, like him, he's a cool guy. He's a mouse and keyboard player, but his shot is like nasty for a mouse and keyboard player. It's nasty, but his mental's not there. Like his brain, like he doesn't understand the game at enough level. But I seriously think he could be somewhere, and I'm working with him all the time, and I like playing against him because he forces me to not make mistakes because he's a mouse and keyboard player and his shot doesn't miss. But the things that he learns from me, brain-wise, I'm learning to improve my shot and learning to improve my strafe while playing with him. And that's the trade-off. Like, you don't understand, like, sometimes helping someone could actually turn out, like, the guy hit me up randomly in a ranked match. Like, if I would have been ego and be like, hey, I mean, you're like, I think he's like 1600 Onyx. I'm like, you're 1600 Onyx. I've never seen you in opens. I'm not going to help you. And like, I may have never had like extra practice and learned the certain things that I learned while playing with him. And I just don't understand the whole ego thing, because I think the only time you're going to be an egotistical kid is when you've never been in their shoes. Like, once you've been in somebody's shoes where you don't have that help and you're forced to learn by yourself, it changes you as a person.
You just appreciate certain things.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the LAN center thing, like the promotion or the sponsorship that I got, because I can share this insight with like the kids that won't have a clue. Like at 16, that is cracked. But if I give them
people you can help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Set them on the right path immediately.
I know this will get you. Yeah, early. Like this shit that I didn't get to know. What am I?